To help you build the slide, I've set up all the parts according to the steps. So this is step 1 and 2. This is for step 3. It's a little U-shaped bracket that goes under the slide. You'll start using the hardware at step 3. These are for step 4. These are the handlebars for the top of the slide. These little support tubes that go under the slide. They have hardware pre-installed on them. These are the support legs for the slide steps. There's little bolts at the bottom of already installed. And then this is step 5, the steps with nuts installed. There should be nuts inside already. And then this is the rear of the base frame of the slide. That's step 6. Now step 7, this is the front leg. And then this is an extension piece that will connect to it. And then this is the second extension piece that will connect to this one for step 7, but this is step 9. These are also little support struts for the ladder. And then the step 10 for the ground sticks. So here, the first step is to clip the 2 slide pieces together. So this is the bottom of the slide. This is the part that rests on the front, on the floor. Here, this is the top of the slide. So what you want to do, put that upside down, and then put this one upside down. Then come a little bit closer so you can see. There are these 2 little plastic hooks molded onto the slide, the top part of the slide. What you want to do is get your bottom piece, come from this direction, because you want these little plastic hooks to get into these square holes. So I'm going to come here, and you'll see that I'm hooking these in right here as I'm pushing it down. And as they go down, you're just going to press down like that. You'll see that these pieces come up through, and then these tabs will be trying to go over here. There's a hole that will have a bolt that goes through, so you want to make sure that those are all aligned. But most importantly, getting this plastic hook in this square hole correctly. And then just press them together a little bit to get a little bit more snapping in place and locking. And so that is how you put the 2 pieces of the slide together. Now for step 3, we're going to attach this under bracket to the slide. So this is the top of the slide, and the important thing is when you put this on the underside, right here, you'll see these 2 holes. You want to make sure that the slide bracket is like this. So this is the top, and that's the bottom over there. So just come and rest it on the holes right here. So now to attach this, you want to get your hardware baggie, and in there, these bolts may be all loose and not assembled, but the only thing you need to do is sort them, get the smaller bolt, and then you'll get that smaller bolt. You'll put it in from this side of the slide, feed it through onto the bracket, and then you'll put 1 washer and then 1 nut. And then just hand tighten those for now. And then repeat the process again for the 3 other holes. So here I got all the hardware installed, and I'm going to tighten up these bolts. So what you want to do is you get this little tube and this little steel shaft. There's a hole in this. You want to get this and put it through. And then on the other side, this is the hex shape that will hold the hex shaped nut here. So to tighten them, you just hold this in place. Get your little Allen wrench that came in the bag, and then just tighten the hardware. Loosely tighten it for now because you need some play when inserting other bolts into the frame. So just tighten it up so you could have some hole alignment. So the next steps involve putting the bolts through these holes and then these holes. So that's step 3.2 and 3.3. So the same bolts that you used to install here, you just get the same ones again. You want to get the bolt and put the bolt through the holes in the tabs right here. 1, 2, 3. So get that through. If you're having problems, you may need to come and make sure that these little tabs right here are all the way through. Right here, they aren't all the way through, so that's why I was having some trouble here with that hole. And I will have some trouble here because the holes aren't aligned. So you want to come and press them together like this. And you want to make sure that the little triangle tab gets over the ledge. And here now you can see all the bolt holes are straight. So I have one bolt through, and then the other side I'm going to put one washer and one nut. And then I'm going to do the same thing again for the other two tabs directly under the slide. Now I got those in, so I'm going to leave them loose for now so I could now do these holes here and here. So same bolts again. Gonna undo the nut. I'll put the bolt itself without a washer through the hole. And then I'll put a washer on the other side and the nut. And then on this side, I will do the same again. Put the bolt through, the washer on the underside, and then the nut. So for step 4, what we're going to do now is we're going to put the handlebar tubes onto the slide and the slide ladder tubes. So here you can see that they're uneven. This is the top of the slide, that's the bottom. So you want to come and put these in like this. And then once those are through, you want to get these tubes. There is a bolt on one side. This is the one that will go downwards. And you'll come and you'll place these on like that. You want to align the bolt hole with the handlebar holes. So now I have it self-supporting right now. It's a little loose, it may fall down on you, but try to get this so you could then come and get these tubes with little back pieces and the bolts installed. What you want to do with these is first remove the hardware. And then once that's removed, you will come and put it right here, right where this bolt hole, where the two tubes go together, and the slide plastic come. So I'm going to rest this up in there. There's a U shape to this plastic piece, so make sure you rest that in there. And now we'll come and so there, I caught the threads. Now we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I left them loose. I haven't fully tightened them yet. Going. So now we're going to put the second one on. So I'm just going to take off the hardware again. And just to note that these plastic things should be in the same direction, the little arcs. And then I'll come and right here, there's another bolt hole and a hole in this steel tube. So you want to get those all aligned and put this from the underside. So get a view from down here. So here you can see I'm bringing this up to there, pushing these down, and then I'm gonna install the bolt into the hole. there I caught the first one, and then I'll do the same thing to the other side. So just loosely tighten these things for now so that they don't fall out on you and you have some stability for assembly, but don't fully tighten it. Fully tightening may cause things to be difficult for hole alignments on the next steps coming up. So for step 5, we will install the slide steps. So here I'll get the red slide step tubes, and then when you install these, you want to install it so that these are horizontal to the ground. So you can see the way it is, the nuts that are embedded in this are going to face forward. So come down here, you'll have to remove the bolts down here. And then just put these in place with the nuts facing forward. And then just slide it up to the upper set of bolt holes here. And then you'll get the 4 longer bolts in your hardware baggie, and those will be used for the 2 steps. So here, put this through, and just tighten it enough to catch the thread of the nut that's embedded in here. If you're trying to tighten this and you can't, check that there is a nut installed here. You can see there should be a nut on the side that faces forward. Could be that it popped out in the box, so just check your box if you're missing that nut. Do the same thing again for the second one. And then put one of the longer bolts in from the back side. My nut came out, but just come and put it back in from the front. So get a view from down here. So here I'm just gonna get the nut and put it back in to the hole right there, and then tighten it so the bolt catches it. And there you go. So that's in there now. Just gonna loosely tighten these so the nuts don't fall out of the other bolts during the assembly. But I'm not fully tightening it yet. Save all that fully tightening for the end step. For step 6, we're going to get this tube, the rear stabilizer tube, and install it. So this one we'll install with this little tube piece facing forward and these 2 upward. And then once that's in, you will get the same hardware you removed during this step installation and replace it. So the bolt goes in from the backside, and then on the front side you would put 1 washer and 1 nut. Just hand tighten it for now. Same thing for the other hole. Just leave that hand tightened for now. Okay, so for step 7, we're going to get the long tube with the U bracket, and then this semi-assembled part. What you want to do here is remove the hardware from the center, and then just bring it and mount these 2 parts together. You want to make sure that the washers are not on the bolt. So you put them through the bolt first, and then the bracket. Put the washers, and then the nut. So before you go to the next step, one thing you want to make sure is that this bolt is installed correctly. Right now, this is installed backwards, so just remove this and flip the hardware around. Keep this on the same side. And then assemble it like that. Because when you get to the point to tighten this hardware, if the bolt head is on the front side of the slide wall will prevent you from tightening that. So just make sure to get these installed correctly. So just taking the bolt out, swapping sides, and reassembling. Next step is to come to these little side pieces and remove these hardware. So now we'll get this part with the hardware removed, and we'll come to the front of the slide right here. And then we'll raise up the little feet to align the bolt holes with the holes in the slide right here. One thing to note is if you have a tube where one side is longer than the other, you want to make sure the longer side is on the top when you're doing this step. Get the hardware you removed, and the bolt head side goes in from this side. And then the nut goes on the back side. Then same thing again, put the second bolt in, and then the nut on the back side. And then now that you got both these in, come to the other side and do the same thing. Okay, pause. So for the next step, we're going to get this long tube with the two pieces of hardware installed. And come right here. It doesn't matter which way you put this. So here, I'm going to remove the hardware that's on the tube. And then I'm going to put one side through here, and then connect the other side right here. Bring them together, put the bolt back through with one nut, and then the same thing right here. Tighten those once I get the remaining pieces installed. Next would be to get these two tubes with little plastic sleeves on them, so make sure those stay on. And these will come and be installed right here. Remove the hardware. And one side would go here. So put the sleeve end through. And then one nut and one washer, spring washer, from the other side. And same thing up here, remove the hardware, and then here, I'll put the sleeve end through the back, and then put that through. And then I'll put the spring washer on the bolt side, and then tighten those down. Just hand tightening. And then I'll do the same thing again at this side. So now that I've got all this installed, you want to go through the manual again, and then just go through all the steps and use their appropriate tools to tighten all the hardware down. So now that everything's tightened down, you just want to get the ground anchors, and you'll come and you'll install one on the front end, just hammer that into the ground there, and then these other two, you would stake down into the ground right here.